The signal arrived at ZO2:17 UTC, slipping into Earth's awareness so quietly that for nearly 12 seconds, no one believed it was real. At the Atacama Deep Space Array, Dr. Lina Morales stared at her screen, fingers hovering over the console as the waveform repeated, again and again, with impossible precision. The background noise of the universe bent around it, as if reluctant to interfere. "Run the diagnostics again," she said, her voice steady only by force of will. "They've already run twice," her assistant replied. "This isn't interference. It's deliberate." The signal pulsed at a narrow frequency band, clean, artificial, and unmistakably structured. Within minutes, observatories in Australia, Hawaii, China, and South Africa confirmed the same thing. The universe was knocking. Emergency protocols activated automatically. Secure lines lit up. Governments were alerted before most of the planet had woken up. In less than an hour, the world's scientific community was unified by a single electrifying conclusion. This was not natural. By sunrise, the signal had been decoded enough to send chills through every lab on Earth. Prime numbers, hydrogen line emissions, mathematical constants woven into a greeting that transcended language. "This is exactly what we hoped for," Dr. Morales whispered, watching the sequence unfold. "A universal hello." Humanity responded cautiously. The reply was crafted over 46 tense hours. It was debated, revised, stripped of aggression, stripped of cultural assumptions. It carried mathematics, chemistry, and a simple declaration of peaceful intent. When the transmission finally left Earth, every major network broadcast the moment live. The wait lasted 57 seconds. Then the return signal arrived. "We hear you." The words, translated by algorithm, appeared simultaneously on thousands of screens across the planet. Celebration erupted. People cried in the streets. Churches, mosques, temples, and secular halls filled with voices trying to explain the impossible. Markets froze, not from fear, but from shock. For the first time in history, humanity knew it was not alone. Within days, the signal evolved into dialogue. The senders identified themselves as the Aurelian Concord, a coalition of star-faring civilizations. Their messages were calm, measured, and deeply reassuring. They expressed no hostility, no superiority, only acknowledgement. "You have reached the threshold of interstellar awareness," one transmission read. "Your species now qualifies for open contact." The phrase was repeated endlessly by commentators. Open contact. A week later, the sky changed. Astronomers detected a mass anomaly near lunar orbit, something vast, yet impossibly precise. Telescopes tracked its emergence as space folded inward, light bending around an object that slid into existence without engines or exhaust. A ship. It was smooth and luminous, shaped in ways that refused to obey human intuition. No weapons were visible, no emissions suggested threat. It simply positioned itself between Earth and the Moon and waited. The world held its breath. The United Nations fast-tracked a delegation to an orbital platform, hastily retrofitted for first contact. The selection process was ruthless. Scientists, linguists, diplomats, military observers, chosen not for politics, but for clarity of thought under pressure. Dr. Morales watched Earth shrink beneath her as the shuttle ascended. Her hands trembled despite years of training. "This is history," she murmured. Inside the station's main chamber, the lights dimmed as alien technology interfaced seamlessly with human systems. A shimmering distortion appeared in the center of the room, coalescing into tall, radiant figures. Neither solid nor fully energy, structured yet fluid. Gasps filled the chamber. The translation system strained, then stabilized. "We are the Aurelian Concord," the lead figure said. Its voice was layered, resonant, and strangely gentle. "We greet you, humanity." No one spoke. "You are not alone," it continued. "And you never have been. Tears welled in Dr. Morales' eyes. The alien inclined its head slightly. "We detected your recent signal. Your response confirmed sapience and intent." Applause broke out, hesitant at first, then unstoppable. Years of loneliness, of wondering, collapsed into a single moment of validation. Then the alien raised one elongated hand. "There is information you must receive," it said. "Clarification." The room quieted instantly. "This event," the alien said carefully, "is being described by your media as first contact." Dr. Morales nodded. "That is correct." The figure paused. "It is understandable," it said, "but inaccurate." A ripple of unease moved through the chamber. "You are mistaken," the alien continued gently. "This is not humanity's first contact." Dr. Morales frowned. "We have no record of any prior—" "You would not," the alien interrupted, not unkindly. "Your species does not remember." Before anyone could demand answers, the stars beyond the station's wide viewport began to shift, not drift. Shift. Space itself folded, revealing something hidden just beyond perception. And in that moment, humanity's greatest assumption shattered. Quietly, completely, and forever. The stars outside the orbital station did not explode or vanish. They moved aside. Space itself peeled back like a veil, revealing a shadow where emptiness should have been. At first, the human delegation thought it was a trick of perspective, a lensing effect caused by alien technology. Then the shadow resolved into structure. A vast ring encircled the far side of the moon, so enormous that its curvature was barely perceptible. It was dark, matte, and scarred by impacts older than any crater known to human science. Portions of it glowed faintly, ancient power lines awakening after a sleep measured not in centuries, but in geological ages. The chamber filled with stunned silence. "That," a general whispered, "that wasn't there yesterday." The Aurelian representative turned slightly, as if regarding an old monument. "It has always been there," the alien said, "hidden by layered perception filters keyed to your species' cognitive limits." Dr. Morales felt her throat go dry. "Why hide something like that from us?" "Because you asked us to." The words struck harder than any threat. The hologram shifted again, projecting images directly into the chamber. Not abstractions, memories. Humanity saw Earth as it had never known it, cities floating above oceans, towers of light stretching into orbit, ships lifting effortlessly from continents that no longer existed. Humans walked among stars. They were taller, stronger, their eyes carrying a confidence that bordered on arrogance, but also something else, responsibility. "We called you the architects," the Aurelian said, "the first species to reach interstellar capability without external guidance. You did not inherit technology, you invented it." The images changed. Human fleets traveled between galaxies. They terraformed worlds. They uplifted species not for conquest, but companionship. Early alien civilizations gathered around humans like younger siblings. A murmur spread through the chamber. Disbelief warred with an emotion no one could name. "This contradicts everything we know about our past," Dr. Morales said, though her voice trembled with doubt rather than certainty. "Yes," the Aurelian replied, "because what you know is the second version of your history." The projection darkened. War erupted across the stars. Not a war of nations, but of existence. A presence emerged from beyond conventional space-time, something ancient and recursive, feeding on complexity and awareness. Entire civilizations vanished without debris, without radiation, simply erased. Humanity stood against it. "You were the first to recognize the threat," the alien continued, "and the last capable of resisting it. The images showed human weapons that bent causality, engines that burned probability itself. But for every victory, the enemy learned. Eventually, the Aurelian said softly, it learned you." A final scene appeared. A council chamber, not unlike the one they stood in now, filled with terrified alien representatives. At the center stood humans, weary beyond measure. A recorded human voice echoed through the room, translated perfectly. It adapts to memory, to identity. As long as we remember who we are, it can find us. Another human voice followed. Then we forget. The chamber went still. You made a decision no other species has ever made, the Aurelian said. You dismantled your civilization. You erased your own interstellar presence. You locked your memories behind biological and cognitive seals. The projection showed Earth reverting. Technology stripped away, colonies abandoned, knowledge deliberately fragmented into myth, religion, and instinct. You asked us to guard you, the alien said, to hide the remnants, to ensure that when you rose again, you would do so slowly, safely. Dr. Morales felt tears slide down her face without realizing it. All of this, we chose? Yes, the Aurelian answered. You chose survival over pride. The massive structure around the moon pulsed softly, lights traveling along its ancient frame. It is a vault, the alien explained. A memory anchor, a warning system, and a key. A low-frequency signal emanated from the structure, passing harmlessly through the station, through Earth itself. Across the planet, people paused. Scientists stopped mid-sentence. Children looked up from their games. Elders felt something old and heavy shift inside their chests. Not knowledge, recognition. You are approaching the threshold again, the Aurelian said. Your technology, your curiosity, your reach, it mirrors the path you once walked. The alien stepped closer, lowering its head slightly. This time, it said, you will not walk it alone. Dr. Morales straightened, her fear giving way to something steadier. If we remembered before, she asked quietly, what happens now? The Aurelian looked past her, to Earth, glowing blue and fragile beneath ancient guardians. Now, it said, you decide whether to remember again. Outside, the hidden station around the moon fully awakened for the first time in hundreds of thousands of years. And humanity, no longer children, not yet gods, stood on the edge of becoming what it had once been. Not for the first time, but for the last